Guys, welcome back to Dream Masters. Sorry about the image, folks, of the location anyway. But again, this is taking place supposedly in the Boston Garden. I want to bring you back to 1987, as we're going to see the tag team titles back then that were on the line. It was Demolition defending against the Hart Foundation. Bret the Hitman Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Of course, Demolition, Axe, and Smash. Oddly enough, Mr. Fuji was their manager back then, but he was not there that night. I don't know why. and I wondered, and I asked my uncle why Mr. Fuji wasn't there, and my uncle didn't know, and I still don't know. But I guess, it doesn't really matter, because Demolition, Axe, and Smash did just as well without Mr. Fuji, so... Again, Mr. Fuji is not here in their corner, and Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the Hart Foundation, before this, just separated recently from their management of the Mouser itself, Jimmy Hart. As you see, Axe and Smash. Axe is in there right now, beating up on Bret Hart, the excellence of execution. Now, a lot of people will ask me, I think the debate of who the greatest tag team is a really hard debate that goes on. And I think a lot of people, if you ask them, will say, I know myself and my uncle for years have gone back and forth about the greatest tag teams. And oddly enough, both wear tag teams, both wear face paint. My uncle's favorite tag team, of course, the Road Warriors, who you guys know as the Legion of Doom, I guess. And mine, of course, is Axe and Smash or Demolition. I thought they were better in the ring, and I don't think they ever hurt anyone in the ring. I've heard horror stories of guys who've been in the ring with the Road Warriors. Again, my respect goes out to the Road Warriors. I have all the most respect for them, but if you would ask me who my particular favorite tag team, I would have to say Demolition was the better of the two, and I thought they also had a little something different. Not to mention their music was pretty badass too, I gotta say. I, to this day, have their music as a ringtone on my phone. That's no kidding on that. Of course, the Hart Foundation, also one of the greatest tag teams of all time, technically sound and really well put together, is Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. I have been doing a lot of research and listening to a lot of shows recently and over the years of being in the wrestling world, and just hearing the stories and myself being able to meet Jim Neidhart, meeting Axe and Smash Demolition, and meeting Bret Hart in separate occasions, of course, but having the opportunity to meet these guys in person was something that was huge for me. And all honestly, it didn't happen that much long ago. But I remember being here at 7 years old and watching this match, and there you see the Ghetto Blaster by Axe and Smash, which was their move, if you didn't know. Of course, the Hart Foundation, known for their Heart Attack, which was their finisher. This is back when tag team wrestling had, sequence. Your tag teams matched. They had similar styles, and they had a finishing maneuver. Here you see Axe and Smash kind of wore the similar type of thing. Both painted their faces. They had a tag team move. The Hart Foundation, of course, pink and black. Of course, if you ask Vince Bret Hart, they would say the pink and black attack. And, there you go. Axe and Smash were known for their raw power, strength in the ring. Again, the Hart Foundation, good for being technically sound in psychology. Put them both together. It was a great match that night for the tag team titles. I'm curious, years later, I'm wondering, now that these guys are back in the ring again together, I'm wondering what the result will be now, multiple years later. Will it be the same result? And yes, I remember the result. Let's see if it's the same here. As Bret Hart gets the foot up, as it catches, Axe in the wrong next to the wood, so to speak. I myself have always been prominent and very fond of the tag team wrestling division myself, as I have been successful in multiple tag teams with successful tag team partners everywhere. Oh, what's this? Oh my! And Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart working together there. Nice tandem offense there. I don't think I've ever seen them do that back then, and they definitely didn't do that back then. But that was a good move, I gotta tell them. As Jim Neidhart sent for the wrong neck of woods. Neidhart was more the strength, the power, and Bret Hart was the more technical guy. And Axe with a nice DDT right there on Jim Neidhart. And this past year, we saw the Hart Foundation rightfully go into the Hall of Fame. I personally would hope to see someday, and I'm sure there's some, corporate reason why Demolition hasn't been put in there yet, but rightfully so. Anyone who's listening, I highly, would put up Demolition to be put into the Hall of Fame. They have done a lot for the tag team division, if you want to say they're visionaries of the tag team division, and not to mention as far as WWE, whatever history goes, they were probably back at that time one of the most dominant tag teams in the very history of the WWE, whatever you want to call it. So, if you're going to put the Road Warriors in the Hall of Fame, then rightfully so, then these guys should be up there too. And I understand there's probably some, whatever reason, but I honestly believe that Axe and Smash deserve to be up in that Hall of Fame. Crush, yeah, he was added years later, but to me, Axe and Smash will always be the Demolition. And they were the best, in my opinion. And he is seeing what they were pretty much doing in the ring, but it was, as you can see, a back and forth match between the Hart Foundation. As Axe now goes for the cover on Jim Neidhart, which is also what happened, but also the shoulder got up. So pretty much it's mirroring what I actually got to see. Now, for you guys, just so you know, this is the only time you'll ever see this arena, as we're going back to my stationary Boston made arena, I guess, as Smash now brings that knee down across the throat of the Anvil. I think Jim Neidhart's another guy that I think gets a lot of, I think he's probably one of the most talented big men in wrestling. I don't think a lot of people give him a lot of credit. He was a tag team guy, yeah, but he was a successful tag team guy, but I think if he had his own single weight, I think he could have handled it a little bit more. I would have liked to see Jim Neidhart maybe get in there in the United States title front when they had one, and there's a nice pin attempt by Smash. And like always, the rough bump and pandemonium that also featured a lot of tag team wrestling back then. As Smash with a big kick to the back of Neidhart. And the referee now getting up. I always found it annoying when the kids in school couldn't tell the difference between Axe and Smash, when there's clearly a difference. And there's the Ghetto Blaster again. Which I often wonder how this is the Ghetto Blaster, which is known as, and there's the ring, and that's exactly the ring was, as Axe and Smash put away the Hart Foundation, and did retain their tag titles, by the way. They were still the tag team champions. And that is the move that they won with, by the way. Again, Mr. Fuji was not there that night. But look at this, right here. There's that. See, folks, it doesn't have to be a big, fancy, flashy finish maneuver on a tag team division. It's just a very basic, combination of an elbow and a knee. I mean, how easy. And again, this is how tag team wrestling should be. You should match your partner. You should have the ring presence, and have some pride to your team, like any other team. That was a hell of a move right there, and there's the winners.
And the new World Tag Team Champions.
Of course, they're new here, folks, considering we've never had the tag titles on our show, by the way.
Demolition.
But good for Axe and Smash, and good for Demolition, and good for me. And I'm enjoying my flashback to the 87, my very first wrestling show. All right, folks, I hope you guys don't mind. I don't really know how brutal it's going to be, but we're going to get ready for some cage action featuring an unstable one himself in the ravishing one. Stick around.